Anything we need to report out of closed session?
Mayor, no final actions were taken in closed session.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going ahead and convening the meeting. Would you please call the roll again, please?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Murray? Here. Councilmember Shalong? Here. Councilmember Ania?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gastineau?
Here.
And Mayor Hawley.
Here. Thank you very much. So the next matter is the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll have that led by Councilmember Gastineau.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. We have no acknowledgments this evening, but we do have a consent calendar. On the consent calendar, we're going to consider approval of the regular meeting minutes from May 19th, receive and file the warrant claims for May 20 to June 2nd, and receive and file the biweekly payroll reports for the period ending May 17th and paid on May 23rd. So the consent calendar is before us. Is there any public comment on the consent calendar? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as a whole. Any other discussion? Okay, would you please poll the vote?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Ania?
Yes.
Councilmember Shalong? Yes. Councilmember Murray? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Gastineau?
Yes.
And Mayor Hawley.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Moving on, we have no reports or presentations tonight. The next matter following that, though, is called communications. It's our public comment period. Any member of the audience is invited to address the City Council on any matter that is within the jurisdiction of the City of Crescent City. Comments of public interest or on matters appearing on the agenda are accepted. Note, however, that the Council is not able to undertake extended discussion or act on non-agendized items. Such items can be referred to staff for appropriate action, which may include placement on a future agenda. Any comments that are not at the microphone are out of order and will not be a part of the public record. After receiving recognition from myself, please state your name and city or county residency for the record. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. So, is there any public comment this evening? Okay, we'll just start here on the right.
They may not be aware of the separate comment periods.
Okay, I will say if your comments are regarding the fees, you may want to wait until that item comes up. This is the public comment. I mean, if you want, you won't get 2 bites of the apple, in other words. If you want to discuss the fees at this time, you may, but if you want to wait until we actually discuss the fee schedule, that'll just come up in very short order. So, knowing that, is there anyone that wants to comment on something other than the fee schedule? Okay, yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dan Gray, and I reside at 262 Joaquin Street, Crescent City. First, we cannot resolve the pool financial woes in a 3-minute soundbite. If the City Council wants to comprehensively address the issue, I suggest a committee to do a complete review of pool and existing programs. This committee should include any and all organizations that use the facility. Now, back to the Masters Club. I speak as a master swimmer and president of Wild Rivers Coast Masters. Since we began using the facility, we have met and exceeded our obligations regarding participating numbers, if you average all 3 practice times per week. Our swim times do not require a lifeguard to be on deck, thus eliminating some costs to the pool structure. The Tuesday and Thursday morning swims are held at a time that the pool never utilized. The Masters Group is simply adding to revenue, and we have not prevented others from using the pool. Pool management was satisfied with our use of the punch cards and annual passes for entry to the facility. The current system, or the culture of payment for most swimmers, has been the use of punch cards and is widely used by the adult members of the community. Master swimmers are simply lap swimmers with a purpose, and 90% of our master swimmers swim at various times of the day, including masters. 40% of our members hold annual passes. If we are mandated to pay a cash value per hour and cannot use the current system, swimmers will be paying a higher price to swim, thus creating an overly burdensome situation on the Masters Club. Why would you pay more to swim than any other community members? If this change comes to pass, the Masters Swim Club will fade away and be unable to maintain our presence at the pool. We will simply have to invade some already overcrowded lap swim times and create ill will amongst current users. Wild Rivers Coast Masters is a service-oriented, nonprofit organization which offers individual instruction on how to swim better, to swim a healthier lifestyle, and to promote the use of the pool. We feel that we are the perfect example on how to increase pool use, increase revenue, and promote the pool. If we cease operations due to a change in classification, you will aid in demoting pool viability. For years, the pool has continually lost money. I ask, what new programs has pool management come forward with? Doing the same thing over and over again.
Mr. Gray, if you'd wrap up, your
I
3
am.
minutes is gone.
I'm there. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is called insanity. I would rather try and fail than fail to try.
Thank you, Mr. Gray, and I want to acknowledge that we received your emails as well. So thank you. Okay, anyone else want to speak during the public comment session? Yes.
Oh.
Hi.
My name is Lynn Sachs. I live at 262 Joaquin Street in Crescent City. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before the council today. I have been a lap swimmer at Fred Endert Pool since 2007. I made my first presentation before this council in 2012 in response to the proposed closure of the pool on Saturdays. At that time, we were directed by Mayor Catherine Murray to come up with some ways to bring in more revenues to the pool. Thus, the Masters Group was formed. With the goal of more revenues for the pool in mind, the Wild Rivers Coast Masters Club has done the following in the past year and a half of our short existence. Swimmers new to the pool community have joined the club purchasing punch cards and annual passes. Outside of swim practices, we have generated income for the pool by holding 2 all-comer swim meets, the first in March of 2013 and second March 2014. Revenues were paid directly to the pool in 2013 and 3.5-hour pool rental in 2014. These events brought adults and children from as far as Coos Bay and Bend, Oregon, and Arcata, some staying overnight in local motels, eating at local restaurants, and spending time with family at SeaWorld, bringing extra revenues to the community as well. In March 2014, the pool was rented for 3 hours for a swim clinic sponsored by Pacific Masters, led by Stu Kahn, 2012 USMS Coach of the Year from Davis, California. 26 swimmers were in attendance from the greater area, including Arcata. In 2014, the pool was rented for 1 hour for a stroke analysis video clinic attended by local swimmers. As a USMS registered club, the Fred Endert Pool is listed online as a place for master swimmers to participate. We have had several swimmers drop in, pay pool entry fees while on the road or visiting family here. I prepaid for this stack of pool punch cards in December of 2013 with the clear expectation that they would be used all year to pay for my 3 swims a week with the Masters Club. With the proposed fee schedule change to $50 per hour for the Masters Club, my punch cards will no longer be valid for their intended use. In conclusion, I would ask the City Council not to change this policy in the middle of the year, invalidating prepaid punch cards and affecting annual pass holders as well. But instead, I truly believe there are creative, innovative ways to improve programming at the pool, thus increasing participation and revenues. The Fred Endert Pool is a gem in Crescent City, used by many, and any increase in cost should be shared by all, and not just some of us who are simply lap swimmers and chosen to join a club to improve our swimming techniques in an organized workout. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Congratulations on the timing. It's 2 seconds. Is there any other public comment this evening? Yes, sir.
continuation of the Masters issue. My name is James Apola, county resident. The Masters Swim Club program adds flavor to the pool as with other current pool programs. The pool is a jewel, as most of you recognize, but it's the programming that accents the pool. The pool, like a computer, does not work without respective programs. The Masters Swim Club program is one such program. I would like to project what would be the impact on lap swims if the Masters swimming times are curtailed. Reducing access to Masters swim sessions will not deter club members at the pool. These swimmers are dedicated swimmers and will use other lap times to improve their swimming techniques in their own way. However, Masters swimmers swim with abrupt starts and stops and have a lack of swim continuity. As a result, other lap swimmers swimming continuously may feel uncomfortable next to a Masters swimmer. When a Masters swim sets are complete, other lap swimmers may be vexed or self-intimidated at the abrupt halt in swimming. A high-energy swim by a club member next to another type of swimmer translates into more swimmer-to-swimmer physical contact, leading to, well, let's not go there. With the addition of Masters Club members to the mix of other lap swimmers, each lane will only worsen the problem by adding congestion, leading to confusion, even if swimmer flow could be well orchestrated. As of yet, success in attaining adequate flow for high numbers of swimmers during regular lap sessions, as currently attended, has not been achieved. Resulting displacement of non-masters will also in turn displace those of less aptitude, leading to frustration and an all-around negative experience at the pool for those patrons. Other associated problems will ensue with regards to patronage and the effectiveness of other lap programs if these are not situations of flow are not resolved. The Masters program gives a venue for swimming skill improvement for adults. There is no equivalent program at the pool for adults that provides swimming skill improvement. This program is invaluable for a community surrounded by open water, such as natural rivers, oceans, and lakes. Expanded pool programs is what will promote the pool. Stifling programs will yield a skeleton of services as compared to pools in other areas. The Masters is a new program and needs to be supported for growth before it becomes a strong financial asset to the pool by itself. Please consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, the fee schedule will be coming up next. Is there any other public comment? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name's David Slagle, a Crescent City resident. I'm the controller and CFO for a group of local companies. A year and 50 pounds ago, my wife and I decided we wanted to participate in the Crescent City Triathlon in August of 2013. Swimming, cycling, running seemed like it would be a lot of fun. I bought a mountain bike for my daughter, discovered I couldn't run around our block, and found the pool to be a beautiful but tortuous facility. We survived the triathlon, and now we're preparing for the 2014 with a vengeance. We were encouraged by several pool patrons and staff to look into joining the Masters group, but we were not Masters. In November, we attended our first Masters sessions. After that, we knew we were not Masters and would never be Masters. We were encouraged by the swimmers, though, and assured all levels of swimmers were eligible and would benefit from the program. We have benefited from the instruction, the workouts, the camaraderie of the Masters program. But we still swim in the outside lane to stay out of the way of Dan and the rest of the sharks that are fanatic about their swimming. Having done just a bit of research concerning the proposed changes to the revenue structure, I was greatly concerned that the proposed changes could doom our group. For the first 4 months of 2014, we have averaged just under 9.97 swimmers per session. The calculation of actual revenue from the period would be difficult to determine due to the different pricing levels and purchase options. Under any scenario, though, we're not meeting the $50 per hour that's proposed for club fees. If my wife and I were to pay $5 per person per swim as our portion of the club rental, that would be $30 for 3 sessions per week. For 6 months or 26 weeks, costing us $780. Take away the 12 swims for the summer when we won't be swimming on Saturdays, that would still cost us $660, which would be worse than our current expected level of expenditure for 2014, as we have purchased the annual pass for the year. Any solution to this proposal would entail a price increase for each club swimmer to produce the $50 hourly charge. An increase in price usually is reflected in a decrease in consumption or participation. The decrease in participation would result in further increase in per swimmer contribution to a point where the viability of swimming as a group would be prohibitive. The need to purchase an annual pass would no longer be beneficial. I also expect a 50% refund from the change in the contractual terms and the obligation with the pool for the purchase of our 2014 pass. I don't expect the increase in the number of swimmers and the other lap time slots nor reduction in pool costs will make up for the reduction in the revenue from the elimination of the master's program. Further research would be needed to verify these assumptions. I don't believe in stating problems without solutions, therefore I would like to recommend and be a participant in a committee, or we could call it a gaggle if you don't like committees, to conduct an evaluation of possible revenue streams and their costs. I would also recommend the committee investigate options used by other similar facilities and clubs to improve our financial situation. I don't ask for special consideration or a subsidy for my recreational enjoyment. I do hope we can come up with the best solution for the utilization of this incredible asset of our community. I hope to see all of you at the Crescent City Triathlon, August 17th. I'll be one of the guys on the podium this year.
Thank you. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, seeing no other public comment during the general comment period, we'll move on to our public hearing section of our agenda. Tonight is a public hearing, and I assume most of you are here for this. Conduct a public hearing for the proposed fee schedule for fiscal year 2014-15 and take action as necessary and appropriate. So, Mr. Palazzo.
Yeah, Mayor, members of council, good evening. This presentation on the staff report will be a team effort by Ms. Boyd, our Director of Finance, Mr. Ware, our Public Works Director, and Matt Hildebrandt, our Pool Manager.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is our annual renewal of the fee schedule for the city of Crescent City. As Mr. Palazzo just indicated, we're going to have a team effort here. We're going to start with Matt Hildebrandt, who's going to discuss the pool fees. Then we'll continue with Eric Weir, who's going to talk about the cultural center rental fees, the right-of-way encroachment fees, and the park fees. And then finally, we'll circle back to myself, and we'll talk about business license fees. So,
Okay, thank you.
Matt.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening, Matt.
So you see proposed fees in front of you. So I'll discuss that a little bit and then try to address some of the things we heard in public comment. It is an across-the-board increase, so it'll affect all the users of the pool. The costs of operating the pool continue to increase year after year. When I last went over it with Susan Mayer back last fall, it costs about $100 an hour to operate the swimming pool. So most of our programs don't even come close to that amount, which is why the city kicks in a large amount each year. Yes?
Is that with staffing included, or is that just?
That's includes staff cost.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
So $100 an hour to operate the pool.
You said that your programs don't come close to covering that.
Right. Swimming lessons come close if we have a large sign-up. And then if you look at the fee schedule, if individuals are renting the pool for like a birthday party or something, we're getting to that point where the rentals will pay for themselves. So the groups, the clubs that use the pool are already given a discount. If an individual rents the pool for private use, it's $85 an hour, and that's without the slide. Currently, it's $85 an hour, and the swim club, Crescent City Swim Club, we only charge $50, so we do give them a discount to use the pool, which is what we're proposing for the Masters Group also, is that they would just pay the same as the Crescent City Swim Club. And the reason for the charge is if a club wants to use the facility strictly for their own use and it's not open to the public, then they I believe, should pay more for that exclusive use of the facility. And also, just to be consistent and fair with the other clubs and groups that do use the pool. So we're just trying to make it the same for everyone. I didn't make any sort of contract or anything with the Masters. It was all verbal. I tried to communicate that the punch card system would not be a forever thing. It was to help them get the club off the ground, help them get going. I did have a former Crescent City Swim Club person approach me, concerned that the Masters Group was getting a different deal than the swim club, and I explained to her that it was to help them get going, that they weren't an official club yet, they were in the process of becoming a club, and so that she was satisfied with that, but expecting things to change when they became an official club. So it's just to be consistent and fair with everyone. I would also point out that, and you see from the year-end reports, that yes, the pool doesn't make money, never has, not since day one, but our revenue continues to increase. We're not losing more each year, we're losing less each year. So that's a good thing. We want to hang on to that. So I guess if you have any other questions about the fee schedule in front of you, I'd be happy to answer those.
I was just going to ask if you and Mr. Palazzo have come up with some kind of a compromise for those master swimmers that have bought punch cards.
What I explained to them was that we would work with those that had purchased those cards, thinking that they'd be able to use them for the entire year. I mean, we certainly don't want them to pay double or to lose any kind of money. So there's a couple different options. We can either extend those passes for a longer period of time, or the council could choose to just have that fee go into effect January 1st, and that way they will have used all their passes before the increase occurs.
And Matt and I spoke about that this morning, and probably, having this fee go into effect January 1 of 2015 is probably the most, it's an easier, I think, avenue to approach the situation. Let the users use their punch cards. It's less kind of administrative review for us. We'll continue to, put the Masters on the schedule, but then come January, then we'll, have the official club, start, and gives them 6 more months to kind of, figure out the inner workings of their club as well.
That seems more fair to me.
Yeah, I agree. Good idea.
So I'm a little confused. Right now, the Wild Rivers Masters Swim Club, they don't pay the team club hourly rate. They each pay individual, either an annual pass rate, or they have the punch card right now. They don't pay like our other swim teams pay?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So they're not even in with, it's too bad we don't have our schedule up on one of the, for everyone to see,
Yeah.
because I'm looking at it right now. That's why it's a little confusing. So they pay individual pass
Yes.
rates or punch card rates.
They became a club. I mean, they existed. They were in the process of creating this club when we did the last fee schedule, and so that's why they're not included on that one, because they didn't technically exist
They
yet.
weren't a club, which is, we're
Right.
glad that they are a club, and
Yes.
they're apparently glad, but it doesn't show, it's not reflected in what we have. And so what I'm looking at right now for everyone in the audience and at home that's listening is our clubs, the team club, they pay a $50 an hour rate, and a proposed rate is to raise it to $55 an hour for everyone, so they know. And right now, our Wild Rivers Masters Swim Club, they cannot either pay their annual swim pass rate, which is $475 as an adult, or they pay the punch card rate, which varies on how many passes you pay, right?
Correct.
So it's just a varying, how many passes you buy at a time, right?
Yes.
So that's the difference that we're talking about right now.
Right.
Okay.
And we do the Christmas time special, the Thanksgiving to Christmas Eve sale each year. And so a lot of people take advantage of that because it's an even lower rate, a better deal
So
than
you can
the
buy gifts
passes are
for
normally.
people or-
Yes.
Right, okay. Stocking stuffers and whatnot. So
Correct.
you're thinking ahead.
So from what I was hearing, they're concerned about coming up with the $50 an hour.
That's what it sounded like to me, yes.
And I'm just curious, and so now some of you that already spoke can't come up and speak again, which is what we were trying to get you to wait for, so you could hear our comments first. But I'm just wondering if they don't buy the punch cards, but chip into the $50 per hour, if we wait until 2015, if that will make it more palatable.
I would think so because they have continued to grow in numbers. So my guess would be in the next 6 months, they would add even more people.
And maybe they could do a fundraiser too.
Sure. And at that rate, it would come out to about $600 a month. So if they had 20 members paying $30, say call it dues or whatever, if they were paying $30 a month to the club, that would cover that charge. $30 is the normal price for a senior 10-visit punch card, and they would be getting 12 swims for the same amount. So actually, if they could get the membership up to 20, it would end up being a better deal for them.
It sounds like.
And do you know how many, sorry.
About almost 10 people per swim right now. And
Well, I was just doing some calculations here, and if they pay $165 a week, which is 55 times 3, it'd be $8,250 or $8,250 a year. And if they had 30 members and you paid annual, how many members you guys have? Nope. Anybody
Please
else?
ask a question. Go ahead and answer the question for
Yeah.
Mr. Gastineau, please.
Yeah, go ahead. How many members you have? I'm sorry. Please.
We have 25 registered master swimmers.
Uh-huh.
But some of these people, we may see once every 3 months.
Right.
It's not like, it's apples and oranges to the kids' swimming club. We do not have a lot of practices days where people would go.
You need to give
Yes.
it a mic,
Okay.
Sure.
if you want them to.
I think we have the information, if that's
Right.
okay. Otherwise, we'd have to have you come to the mic. And,
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
even with 20 members, it'd be $415 a year at this price. And I think what you're trying to say is that in the schedule, for them to have this scheduled for these 3 times a week, they should be paying the club price for their exclusive right for that hour, for those 3 times a week, that nobody else comes in besides the master swimmers. And I know that they say that they maybe have 10 at a time at that possible stuff, but like we all say, if we all buy into it for the club, it makes it a lighter load for everybody. And you might want to look into that, is to have your members come in there and see if they can't all contribute to make the price go down for everybody and to make sure that you have this schedule that you guys want. And we're just trying to make it fair for everybody across the board. And that's the biggest thing. The swim club members, they all have to pay their dues going into it for the year. And if you, come back and try to get your club organized to do that, I think you guys will have a better deal than you're doing now with your punch cards or your annual passes. The thing is, though, is that we have to get that going so that we use the rest of your punch cards and annual passes going into this, and then in the new year, you go in definitely into club pricing. I think that would be the best solution in everything on this one.
yeah, because the adult annual pass right now is $475. So it might even be a better deal than an annual pass if you all went in. But just-
We don't want to see the Masters Club go away. That's not what we're trying to do here at all. We're just trying to make it fair for all the clubs. And as Mr. Hildenbrandt said, the swim club people are coming and talking about what is this great deal that they're getting, why can't we get that great deal? So it's just one of those things we have to look at to make the balance. And I think you guys are right there on the edge of making this very viable and doing it, but we just need to come to that compromise where we help you out to get over that little hurdle, and then you form the club, and I think everybody will be happy after that.
Matt, I have a lot easier question, I think. There's two prices. There's a lesser price and a greater price for team clubs. One that's being proposed at $55 and one at $75 per hour. What's the difference between those two?
That second price is for swim meets.
Okay.
And it's higher because when there's a meet, we have to close the facility to the public. So it's just to try to recoup a little more of the loss that we incur.
Very good. So is there any other questions, Mr. Nia? Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. And next up, we have Mr. Weir.
Mr. Weir.
All right, good evening, Mayor Hawley, members of the council, Eric Weir, Public Works Director. So my portion of this presentation tonight is to talk about the cultural center fees, the encroachment permits, and then finally some park fees. So starting with the cultural center. First, this really isn't designed to be a feasibility, economic study on what we should be charging for the cultural center. That would take an additional analysis and a lot more work. What is proposed tonight is to clean up and consolidate the current fee structure for the cultural center, as well as give a brief comparison on how our fees compare with some other facilities around the area. So currently, the fees for the cultural center, $375 per day, $50 for the kitchen, $80 for setup, $180 for cleanup, and then you have a non-refundable reservation fee of $50. So when somebody calls City Hall to try to reserve the culture center and they ask what our fees are, we start out with $375, and then there's all these other fees that are really mandatory fees. They're not optional fees. And so it doesn't represent our actual fee total when you say $375. Really, you add all those up and it's about $685 plus the $50 non-refundable fee. So it's really about community communication when they call in and are asking us what our fees are. This will clean it up quite a bit. Also before you tonight is to eliminate several fees. Currently we have a fee for the use of a piano. Well, in my 11 years with the city, I don't believe we've had a piano there. So, it's hard to...
Sounds reasonable.
Hard to rent something like that. Also the dishes too are a bit outdated and so we want to eliminate some of those fees and just consolidate it for the public. So we've also compared the cultural center fee to some other facilities around the area. The cultural center, isn't the lowest, but it's not the highest, so we're kind of right in the middle. That fee comparison is before you. There's a few that are lower, I believe 2, and then the rest of the other community events that are for rent are higher. So that's the cultural center.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions on the cultural center?
Yeah, which page is it on, Gene?
I might add, just in a way of a comment, I believe the cultural center costs us about $75,000 a year over and above the fees that are collected, similar to the pool, which costs the city about $300,000, as I understand it. And so these are difficult costs. They're important costs to incur, but I appreciate your effort.
So again, at this point, it's not really a feasibility analysis on the current fee structure, but it's more just consolidating the current fee.
Okay, very good. So I guess there's no questions about that, so you can move on.
Excellent. Thanks. Encroachment permits. Current fee structure for encroachment permits, and first let me define an encroachment permit. So when a contractor needs to do work within the public right-of-way, we require them to get an encroachment permit. This is so they can install whatever they're trying to install, such as a water service or any sort of utility improvement that might occur, a driveway, sidewalks, different things like that are within the public right-of-way. So technically the city owns that particular improvement that they're trying to create. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that that improvement meets city standards, ADA standards. So it requires us to, one, review exactly the materials that they're putting in so we make sure they last for as long as what the city standards are, and then 2, that they're compliant with current standards. The current structure for an encroachment permit is $360 flat fee. Doesn't matter if you're redoing a block of sidewalks with 4 driveways and 8 handicap ramps, or if you're replacing one panel. So what this has done is it's really created a hardship on the person that's trying to complete a small project, because they're paying a large fee at $360 to replace one panel of sidewalk, or the person that's creating the large project, it creates a burden on the city, because again, they're only paying the $360, and it's requiring multiple inspections from our part to try to complete the work to ensure it complies with standards. So what's before you tonight is to take this basic flat fee and turn it into a fee that's more representative of the project size. So there's going to be a $50 application fee, so to speak, and that covers our staff time to review whatever improvement's going to go on. And then there'd be a 5% valuation on the actual project size. So if your project costs you $100, then your permit fee would be $50 for the review of the permit plus $5 for the actual value assessed. Or if it's $1,000, then it'd be $50, and it'd be another $50 for the evaluation. So that's on the encroachment permit, the general side of things. Encroachment permits also encompass public utilities. So we're proposing tonight is to just have a flat public utility fee. That would cover, say, your Pacific Power or your Frontier trucks from going around when they say have to do work on a pole. They're going to stop their truck in the middle of the street, they're going to block the street for a certain amount of time, and it's going to cover their routine maintenance. So this is just an annual fee to try to address some of the routine annual maintenance where they don't actually, say, dig up a portion of the street or replace a sidewalk panel. And then we'll have just a flat $150 job-specific fee for when they actually do go in and they have to remove a sidewalk panel and replace it, because typically it's not a large job. It just takes minimal inspection from our standpoint, but we do want to review exactly what they're doing and how they're doing it.
They don't have to pay a fee every time they have to repair a pole now, do they?
No.
Okay, so this annual fee would cover like the whole company?
The whole company for that basic routine maintenance where they aren't doing an actual work to the ground. It's more just them, they're stopping, they're blocking sidewalk for, say, a day to do this repair. We'd want to review with them exactly what they're doing and how they're doing it on an annual basis.
My question is that I agree with the annual fee, but are they still going to be required to let the city know that they're out doing maintenance? Because it's happened in the past where they've blocked North Crest Drive to fix a pole and we weren't aware of it. And
Yes.
It's caused a traffic issue.
Yes, we will work out those details, but yes, we'll have them notify us of any disturbance that they might cause. You know, if there's just a brief, say, maintenance where they park the truck, put a single cone out for 5 minutes, you know, that's obviously not one of those things that's going to be required. But if they do have to block a street for any length of time or take a lane, then they'll need to notify us.
Okay.
Thank you. And then the third component of encroachment permits that we'd like to break it out is right-of-way obstruction. So there's 3 kinds of right-of-way obstruction that we've identified. There's the temporary obstruction, which is for building beautification. This would be your one-day obstruction, say a local downtown business that's built right on the right-of-way, so there's no room for them to work on their building without being in the right-of-way, wants to, say, pressure wash their building or paint their building, and needs to block the sidewalk to do so. Or we want them to block the sidewalk so we can protect the public.
So that's sort of like the surf apartments at Front and H where they're blocking the sidewalk with all the scaffolding?
No, that would be your temporary right-of-way obstruction.
Okay.
That lasts for more of a,
That's an example.
yes, or conditional right-of-way obstruction on that one. Is what it is. So this is more just your business owner that doesn't necessarily need to do any work within the right-of-way, but wants to work on their building, and to do so needs to block the right-of-way for a day or less in order to, say, pressure wash their building. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that they close the sidewalk in a safe manner to protect the public, and then they can beautify their building. So to help encourage that, we're saying that we want you to notify us so we can help you put the proper signage out and go ahead and get that sidewalk closure done correctly, but that's going to be a no-fee permit. And this is designed to really encourage businesses to try to keep up their buildings. So we want to encourage them to paint, encourage them to pressure wash, clean their buildings, keep our city looking nice. Then the second one is the conditionally permitted obstructions. And this is those obstructions that would be, say, if you want to put a planter box out and it's within the right-of-way. So we would take a look at this conditionally permitted, and we would say, okay, you can have a planter box out. It has to be You know, at this particular location in the sidewalk, we'll give you a conditionally permitted obstruction that it has to meet certain conditions, you know, keeping the ADA sidewalk path open, it can't be in a deteriorated condition, something like that. And that'll be a permitted obstruction that is conditional upon city approval and can be removed at the city's request. Another example of this is, say, fences. The public right-of-way is typically 10 feet. A lot of times the sidewalk itself is only 6. So now you have a portion of somebody's yard in a lot of residential areas that actually encroach into the right-of-way. There's sometimes where those people actually want to build that fence up to the back of sidewalk. And that's really what we want, because if they build it on the property line, then you have this 4-foot strip that really is in no man's land that doesn't get maintained. So in that particular case, in a residential area, we would take a look at it, and if it meets our conditional approval, we would actually let them build that fence conditioned upon our acceptance. And then if we ever needed that fence to be removed, it would be removed at their cost, and that would all be stipulated within the conditional encroachment permit. Then the third one is your temporary right-of-way obstruction. And that's, again, it's more dealing with temporary obstructions such as Connex boxes, jobs trailers, as well as dumpsters. So when you're, say, cleaning up a project site, you might need to use a public street because your building doesn't have, or your property doesn't have the proper safe space to do it on site. So they would come to us, can we, say, take a portion of the sidewalk when we're going to close it down, have a dumpster on there, and so we can complete our project. It'll be specified time, and it'll be based on the amount of time they have it. And that is, in a nutshell, how we want to structure the encroachment permits.
Okay. Mr. Weir, the one thing that I made a note of was the right-of-way obstructions, and when we had planter boxes, and it's $100 per issuance, did you say that might be waived? Is that what I heard?
No, not the
So
planter
if someone
boxes.
wants to put a planter box in front of their business, we charge them $100?
That is what's being proposed for our review of that right-of-way obstruction.
Okay. I've heard some complaints about some of these things that I think the feeling was that the city should be taking care of the sidewalks. I know that's a whole different, I know that's not the case, but is this a new fee than
This
what
is a
we had
new
before?
structure. So currently, right now, we really don't have a structure that would really allow someone to, say, block the public right-of-way. I guess it would fall under an encroachment permit is really what they would need. So if we're going to review that permit, it would be a conditional encroachment permit fee, and we'd be forced to charge them $360 if we were to follow this. So as part of that temporary obstruction, you know, there would be conditional stipulations placed on that planter box. So if that business wants it, then in my opinion, that business also needs to maintain it. And with this conditional encroachment permit, if that's not being maintained, then we as a city would have the right to revoke that and ask them to remove that planter box.
I see. Thank you. Any other questions?
But we can lower that $100 if we choose to.
Simply just staff's suggestion based on other cities, I think this is where we came up with that one.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the, no technical questions? Thank you, Mr. Weir.
All right, so parks fees.
Okay.
Moving on to parks fees.
I tried.
You're not done with me yet, sorry about that. So parks fees, again, this is, as we're moving through things, trying to clean up our current fee schedule. So with parks fees, the one fee that sort of jumped out at us, or at me when I was reviewing this, was that the city currently has a fee for $30 per game per day for Peterson Park, which is the baseball field. This fee, I believe, was put in place years ago when the city used to actually maintain the fields and drag the fields and take care of the pitcher's mound. Currently, right now, due to just our staffing level and priorities and whatnot, we haven't maintained the baseball field. That has been taken over by the Babe Ruth League. They go out, they donate their labor and whatnot, their resources. They prep the field for game days. They prep the field before the season starts. They build the pitcher mound. They even add additives to it.
They cut the grass too?
They do not cut the grass. So what we do is we cut the grass. That's basically what we do. You know, they clean the dugouts and whatnot. Any of the facility maintenance that might need to be done, say, you know, they'll assist in that. But any major rebuilding and whatnot, we will take care of that as well, just like any other park. So when I saw this fee for the Peterson Park only, it stuck out because really we don't do any additional maintenance to Peterson Park than what we do to, say, Beachfront Park. So what's before you tonight is to basically eliminate this particular fee, because our maintenance as a city is simply to mow the grass, which is what we do for every park. we will still keep the lighting fee for the Peterson Park, because that is an actual expense to the city that's above and beyond.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay?
That's, okay, thank you. I
That's
didn't
it.
want to jump in again.
Oh, I'm done.
I appreciate it. Emily?
So we can talk about the business license fees, and I have 2 items tonight which I'm asking the council for specific direction on. First, I would like to just comment that, since we have a lot of business owners in the room, that no business owner wants to have their employees decide on their own what sales prices to collect. And so that's kind of what I'm doing here, is that I don't have the right to decide on my own what fees to collect. So I need your direction on that. Farmers market fees. The schedule as it currently reads, well, let me back up one step.
What page is it on?
Let's see what page those are on. They begin on page, well, I have the page numbers on the fee schedule. I don't have the page number on the packet in its entirety. Begins on page 4 of 17. There's 2 components to the fees. One is the ordinance, the municipal code ordinance, which identifies the classes of businesses by Class A through Class O. And then there is our fee schedule, which identifies the fees to be charged for each class. Martha Rice and I went through the fee schedule to determine what we should be charging the farmers markets. And we determined that they should be charged Class F, which is $31 per year, and also identified as Class O, or Class F is a retailer, and Class O, which is an itinerant merchant, which is identified as $10.50 per day. Now, based on those fees for a 16-week farmer's market, a weekly market meeting 16 times, that would cost the individual vendor $199, which to us seemed a little burdensome for many of the small businesses that vend at our Wednesday morning market. So we met with Amy Bullender, Cheryl Korpstein from BID, and we also met with Jeff Palmer from the Chamber to talk about these fees for the vendors that have booths at events in town, the farmers market, the 4th of July, Sea Cruise, and to determine what they felt would be a fair fee. And based upon our conversations with them and our review back on city costs, staff is currently recommending a $20 per year fee for farmers market and special event vendors. So that's the item 1, which I would like the council to provide direction on. And the other item that
Before you move forward.
Sure.
So let me, just to be clear, so if you're a vendor that does our downtown farmers market, it'd be $20 a year. If a vendor pays the chamber for a space at the 4th of July, which they've basically rented for the day, they have to pay that booth rent plus, so they're already covered from the city because they paid the $20? Or what if they're not a farmer's market vendor?
Well, I think we're possibly we're talking about 2 separate things. One is that both BID and the chamber charge the vendors, and I believe that those fees go into help support BID and help support the chamber in their processes, perhaps in marketing the events or putting on the events, whatever their costs are related to the events. The business license fee is a fee for the privilege of doing business in the city. So it's really 2 separate fees.
Right, so I'm just saying they have to pay both.
That would be correct.
Okay.
Okay. Continue. Is that?
Okay, and then the item 2 that I'm looking for direction from the council on is that when I was reviewing the municipal code on the business license fees with Martha Rice, we noticed that much of this code has not been revised since 1983. And my concern is that I would like the classes that are identified in the code to be clearer and easier to understand, so that we can identify merchants more easily. It took Martha and I probably half an hour to determine what the appropriate classification for farmers market vendors were, and we both feel that we could simplify that. Additionally, Martha has pointed out that since 1983, there's probably been some changes in the law and some changes in the customary legal language used that might benefit the city to update that ordinance. So before spending any staff time on doing so, I would like your direction to go ahead and review the municipal code, come back to you at a future date with perhaps an amendment to it.
So it's been 30 years? Is that what you're saying?
1983. There are a couple of sections that have...
We may want to review that.
There are a couple of sections that were updated more recently, but they're just pieces. The whole code was not looked at.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Emily? Technical questions? No? Thank you. Hopefully we can get you some answers to the questions you've asked us. Okay. So we'll go ahead and ask for public comment on the fee schedule. And so if you have a comment you'd like to make relative to any piece of the fee schedule, go ahead and raise your hand and I'll recognize you, and please come to the podium. Yes, sir. And who are you, sir?
Good evening. My name is Ron Phillips. I live in the county. I run the Crescent City Certified Farmers Market, held every Saturday, June through October. That is a program of Rural Human Services. I just want to give you a little update before you actually start considering this. I sit on the State Board of Certified Farmers Markets that advises the Secretary of Agriculture. There is a bill going through the Assembly, the California State Assembly, that would, and if passed in its entirety, would raise the rate that we pay the state from 60 cents per ag vendor to $2 per vendor that goes to a certified farmers market. So this means that on top of your fee, whatever you decide that's going to be, that the downtown market, Wednesday market, would be required to collect an additional $2 for every time they show up at the market. So and that's for any vendor, not just the ag vendors. So just, and it looks like this will go through. It would take effect the beginning of the year. It's sponsored by and supported by the farmers in the Los Angeles, San Diego, Ventura area. And the money that they're trying to raise is to be able to hire more inspectors that would try to cut down on the cheating that's going on in those areas, where farmers will go out and buy at produce market, or downtown produce, and then bring it to the market and say they're actually growing it. So there is some opposition. We'll be opposing it, all of us here in Del Norte County. I think Eureka will probably, and then Marin County will probably be a big supporter against this program. So I wanted to give you this update before you listen to everybody else about it. I know we're exempt at the Saturday market because we sit on state land. But I do have a city license.
So the state wants to charge our farmers and/or vendors $2, but they're not going to charge themselves.
Right. Now, this is for all 800 plus farmers markets in the state of California.
But not yours.
No, they would charge ours. The only difference is if they come to the Saturday market, they don't have to pay the $30, the business license.
Do you know what the bill number is?
Yeah. AB 1871, and it's the Dickerson bill.
Dickerson?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate you
I
letting us
just
know this.
wanted to let you know about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So other public comment on this? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Holly, City Council members. My name's Jeff Parmer. I'm a county resident. I'm also the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce. I did have one question on user fees. When Eric was talking, he talked about Peterson Park and the Cultural Center, but I didn't hear anything on Beachfront Park. And I haven't seen the dues fee schedule, so I don't know if it's on there or not, but I just didn't hear anything about it. So I wanted to bring that up, and I do agree that there probably does need to be clarification on the different classifications. In dealing with the vendors through our events like the 4th of July and Sea Cruise, they are real sticklers about the fees that they're being charged. And so they're probably going to question the classification that they're put in. And I really don't see much of a difference between the Class O at $10.50 a day and then the proposed schedule of $20 a year. Basically, it wouldn't make a difference to them.
Okay.
But I'm hoping that if you do implement this, that you do wait until the beginning of 2015. We've already have 30 confirmed vendors for the 4th of July, and if you were to go back and then send them a bill, to come to our event, it's not going to make them happy. And I doubt any of them would cancel, but we do run that risk. So I just wanted to clarify that currently, we have these vendors coming, and in their mind, they've already paid their vendor fee. And so I think, as far as I don't know if that's double jeopardy or double indemnation, but I don't know if they can be charged then a second fee, because Kelly raised a good point about the chamber basically renting the park for the day, so it's our event, and then if we charge a vendor a fee to use, our event as a means to sell their product, then is the city capable of coming in and then charging them an additional fee?
Well, I would just say the city doesn't charge you to rent the park for the day, right?
Well, we have paid usage fees in the past for the power and for the gazebo and for, other things.
Okay.
I believe that was $135
And just to be
last
clear,
year.
the current code says those people need to pay $10.50 per day. The current code says any vendor needs to pay $10.50 per day to be
If they're a
at an event.
transient. Yeah, okay.
And we're trying to fix that. And instead of $10.50 per day, which would be like per farmer's market, so if they go to 2 a week, that's $20 a week.
Mm-hmm.
That we haven't been charging. So we're trying to make that $20 a year instead of $10.50 per day.
Oh, I don't think the fee's outrageous. I think the timing would be bad if you were to implement it, July 1. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, any other public comment? Yes.
I'll speak fast. Cheryl Corpstein, county resident, board member of BID, and we are here to discuss the vendors' fees for the farmers market and all of the events that are coming up, because this is a big can of worms that's been opened. According to the city's codes and the fee schedule that we reviewed, you need to start charging vendors at art walks. You need to start charging the vendors at the art show that happens on the 4th of July. The 4th of July market vendors are impacted. Our market vendors are impacted to the cost of $20 a year, but if they participate on Saturday, they don't have to buy a business license. If they go across the border to Brookings and participate in their Wednesday market, they don't have to have a $20 business license because it's outside city limits. So we are kind of running a risk of running for us, the Wednesday farmers market out of business. But I also think that some of this is just very confusing, and, you know, we did review the codes with staff, and there, even though we're trying to work with all of you, and you're going to hopefully fix this, the fact that you can be in more than one class, and the fact that you could possibly have to pay for more than one class. I know that some business people downtown are also facing that business license problem. And while we certainly understand everybody should have a business license, and just like veterans now who are exempt from a fee but still have to fill out a license, you as the city have a right to know who's doing business in your city, what they're selling, and who is responsible for selling that. That being said, there are lots of people who aren't paying a business license. Home businesses are a $15 a year license, but I would guess there are very few on the books that are being charged. So we, as a board from BID, voted, and we, while we think that the $20 is generous, we would think that $15 would be more in line for farmers markets vendors. They are certainly not making as much as somebody who's selling Mary Kay or Tupperware or Home Interiors or any of those other parties that we ladies like to shop at all the time. And we need to try to keep them on our side of the border. And I know $5 isn't a lot, but it's the price of a tank of gas. And if you can go to Brookings for that $5 tank of gas, we run the risk of losing them. So I do agree we agree with Jeff as well. We would like to see the city maybe do a full review of your fee schedules. It is outdated a little bit, and maybe implement all of this for 2015, where we have time to work with our vendors. Everybody has time to let people know what's happening, and then we can start on a fresh note in the coming year.
So you did meet with Mr. Palazzo and agree to the $20 per year?
No. We met with him. He told us what the staff recommendation was going to look like, which was to waive the $15 or $10.50 fee and possibly lower it, maybe prorate it to half, because vendors at a farmer's market are usually in town for about 6 months, or $15. And I had actually spoken about $15 with council members. So our board is in favor of a $15 fee.
And does the city provide electricity to the farmers market downtown?
And we do.
Okay.
And it's in the parking lot. Actually, that's one item that we forgot to put on the fee schedule is an electrical charge. And Mr. Weir just whispered that in my ear, and we decided to just leave that alone for now and get these items taken care of, and then maybe next year come back, or we can add that to the fee schedule at this point as well.
But actually, we pay for that fee. We paid for the electricity that we used in that parking lot last year. So, and
it was a item that we actually spent probably a good day of staff time, maybe more, making the pole available for electricity so the farmers market could hook up. So yeah, that's our partnership. We put a lot of time in that.
Sure, but we charge them for that?
We charged them last year. $5 per farmer's market. I think that was part of the...
$5 for the whole event for that day?
Per week, yeah.
Per week, per day.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you coming.
sorry, I was supposed to act so we can prevent a lot of speaking. If we could have a show of hands of everyone who is here who is opposed to the fees, could I see a show of hands for farmers market? That'll prevent everybody else from getting that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So, given your promise, is there anyone else that would like to have public comment on this matter? And it's certainly fine. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Suzanne Pennell, and I'm a county resident. I'm also a crafter. I've been selling craft items online since 2009, and I want to branch out. I want to have something tangible that I can build from. In the past, I've known friends and acquaintances who've started out at swap meets. One lady had a little push cart that she would push down the mall in Santa Cruz and sell beads. These people, with their hard work and effort, were able to make businesses. A local example is Chimney Craft. I remember 25 years ago when he was working out of his home. And from that ambition and a desire to take care of his family, he built a big business. When I first moved up here as a resident in 1972, the population of Crescent City was 35,000 people, and now it hovers around 8,000. And I see these fees as an attempt to stop growth, as if we need it. I also understand that it is June and your fiscal year is almost over and you have a lot of house cleaning you need to do. But my suggestion is to take this opportunity of confusion and allay the fears of the vendors and all the organizations that have to deal with the city in this matter and say, we're gonna research this and we're gonna research it well. It would really help to have some surveys of the tourists. Where are they coming from? What kind of transportation are they using to get here? We have an airline here, and some people are using that to get up here. All of these things can be researched this summer because we'll have the tourists here. We can also do research on the vendors and the buyers at the flea markets, at the farmers markets, and find out just what it is that this community needs to do to promote that growth again. I realize that this community took a big hit when the logging industry went under. I understand that. But we can also build from that. I have met so many young people in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce who are just ready, willing, and able to get out there and do things, and they're met with obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. So please, I just ask that you give it a moratorium until next summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay. Again, thank you for your comments and your emails. I know we've gotten a lot of those, and they've been good reading, so I appreciate that. So I'll bring this back to the council.
Well, my opinion is that, there is a cost to doing business in the city for all businesses, so there has to be some kind of fairness across the board. I'm fine with a $10 or $15 a year fee for farmers market vendors. We have done some research. There was a lot of information bouncing around in emails that was incorrect, that was provided to a lot of the vendors, and I happened to be on that email chain, so I was able to work with a few of those people to correct the information and bring those people to the city to meet with our city managers so that everybody could share the same factual information. We did go out and research what other farmers markets are charging, which my information shows is quite a bit more than what we're charging. But that doesn't matter. We're always a different place here in Crescent City. So the city has, a lot of expenses as well that we have to try to cover. So I'm in favor of a much lower fee. I'm not in favor of the per event fee. I agree with Jeff that if we have vendors at the 4th of July that have already paid their booth fee, to tell them weeks before their event that they're going to have to pay an additional fee to the city is not going to go over well. I think that for those kinds of events, we need to implement something for the following year, and maybe the chamber just includes that city fee, a one-day booth fee for an out-of-town vendor that's only here for that one day, includes that in their overall fee that can be reimbursed to the city to make it easy. I'm in favor of deleting the per game fees at the ballpark. I think the $100 fee for a planter box sounds pretty silly to me. I think that we could lower that substantially, unless you can sell me on it. And I think for the pool fees, letting them use their pool passes for the rest of the year is the only fair thing to do. Gives them until 2015 to try to put together a plan to pay that $50 club fee. And if not, then we look at it again and try to work with them. We did go out and work with the POP group, who is our advisory group on how to run the pool, how to do fundraising. You know, they work with us, they partner with us. So we did go out and ask them for their input. So we didn't just throw these numbers on paper. So anyway, I appreciate everybody that sends letters. I read every one of them, so I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other discussion here at the council? Mr. Nia?
Just briefly, I agree with Councilmember Shalong on just about everything. And the one thing about the fees for the farmer's market, you have to remember that these have been on our books and we haven't enforced them. So it's nothing, it's new to people, but we've just not enforced them. And I agree about the reduction in that. I also agree about the chamber and with the pool and what she's saying. It's just trying to be fair to everyone, and I think we can come up with something.
I don't know if you guys saw the staff report, but just this year we've lost $197,000 at the pool. So just to give you a little bit of perspective.
I had one more point I wanted to make. Last week, Mayor Hawley and Councilman Gastineau and Murray and myself went to the graduation for the SBDC, which is a company that helps small businesses and wants to help people start businesses, and they have classes, and those classes are free. And one of the things they teach there is how to get a small business started, and that also includes paying business license fees, how to do their taxes. So that's all being taught to young people. And to say that people don't know that is wrong. That is available for free, how to manage a budget. And so people that are interested in starting a business, they take that class so they know about fees. And then they usually go to the farmer's market. I've seen several at the Saturday market where they started their business after taking that class and going to the Saturday market, and they're still there and selling or cooking or whatever what they do with their businesses, and it's really working out for them. So pass that around if you know someone that is interested in starting a business. Those classes are free, and they teach you everything that you need to do, including how to apply for business license fees and everything that you'll need to start a business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nia.
It's the Small Business Development Center, which is right by where the old Coast Central.
Right across from Bank of America.
Yeah, right across the street from Bank of America, right where the post office is and everything else. And they have all kinds, they call them flights. And they teach you everything about starting a business. And so were you saying, Kelly, $15 for the farmer's market? It costs us money to operate everything. So it's not, we're not trying to gouge anybody. And, we want you to be successful, but it costs us money to help you operate. So, one thing that you didn't mention, our other council members, was the cultural center fee. So, I think that those are fairly reasonable.
Yes.
And
I think I was just mentioning the ones that I wanted to compromise on.
Oh, compromise on, so, okay. So, would the resolution need to be revised?
I think that's what we'd be looking for is a motion.
Just a motion?
No, I still have some comments, though.
Okay, great.
I agree with the $15 fee for the farmer's market on a yearly basis. I mean, they get tacked on with fees for every time that they go out to the market. As for the pool, definitely, we'll work through this next year and try to get everything in a nice, fair, and useful way for you guys to get your club up and running and hopefully save you some money in the coming years. Emily, what was the second thing that you wanted direction on?
I asked the council to direct staff to go back and review the business license municipal code and bring it back to you for possible revision.
Oh, that's a no-brainer. I think I'll agree on that one there.
That's going to take a lot of work. And I forgot to mention that I'm really very impressed by the Wild Rivers Master Swim Club, and I'm so grateful that you've initiated that and what you're doing. I take walks over there, and I was walking by there when you had one swim meet. I stuck my face in the window and saw, I know some of you guys that are in the club, and I met some of the people that were waiting for their spouse and talked to them. Some of them were from Coos Bay, and it's a really great club, so thank you for what you're doing, and I'm glad you enjoy and appreciate the swimming pool, but we still lose almost $200,000 a year. It's really expensive to operate, so hopefully we've given you some good ideas on how to save money in the membership, so hopefully that'll help.
And the only other comment I had, and I circled this because it's one of my little pet projects, is to have a public access channel. And I'm looking underneath the franchise fees. And I know we haven't been collecting those for a long time, and we should look into those because, I mean, these fees can, like from Charter Cable, we were supposed to collect, for them to have an exclusive right to have cable in our community, they have to give us some cash so that we can put together public access. Right.
Yeah,
So,
we collect fees.
well, we need to go over that, I think, again, and see what we have, and you know, bring this, you know, another aspect to our community for communication and to get things out. So I'd like to see a review on that, too.
Thank you, Mr. Gastineau. Actually, it kind of leads right into something I wanted to say. I wanted to thank the staff for the work they've done on this fee schedule. There's apparently, unbeknownst to us, been some fees that haven't been collected, and I just appreciate the effort at cleaning things up so that our fee schedules reflect every intention of receiving those fees, and we don't have anything superfluous anymore. So it's a brave thing to do, and it's uncomfortable for all of us to get it done, but it's something that has to be done. I think I'm in agreement with what my fellow council members have said, the $15 reduction. I'll only speak to those things that are different than what the staff has recommended. We can drop that down to $15. Even at $20, it was a 90% reduction from what it probably could have been had we been collecting those fees. So that's a pretty significant change that we've recommended. The pool issues and the master swimmers, I'm sympathetic to a degree, but we just have to be equitable with all groups. I just think we can't pull some out and not others, and we can't afford other groups to come forward and ask for a break in something that we're losing a couple $100,000 a year on. We just can't do it. And of course, the review of the fee schedule, I think that hopefully will be included in someone's motion. So I think I would entertain a motion.
Council, on the permitted obstructions, it was 100. Are you good with lowering it to 50, or? I'd like to include it in my motion, so.
For the final boxes, yes.
Is everybody?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's for beautification, so
Yeah.
we'd want to encourage that as much as possible.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Well, then I will move to accept the user fee schedule with the changes presented to us with the following changes. The farmer's market will be a $15 annual fee, and the permitted obstructions will be a $50 fee. And the master's fee for the pool will not be implemented until 2015. And we would like to direct staff to bring back an updated municipal code for action. Am I getting everything?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to adopt the fee schedule with the changes that have been alliterated. Do you have all that, Robin?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So any further discussion?
Just to comment, Mr. Ware,
Yes,
I
sir.
think we covered everything, Mr. Plaza.
A question on, you know, when you say farmer's market, I'm interpreting that as vendors and farmer's market, 4th of July, Sea Cruise, you know, that would include all vendors.
That would be, what are the
That'd be
category
annual-
peddlers?
Annual fees for, would be
Okay, let me
$15.
amend my motion. The fee for the events put on by the chamber need to start in 2015. Because all of that marketing information has already been sent out, even for the Sea Cruise. Those were sent out last week. Is everybody okay with that? Council?
Yes.
I think so. Okay, so
I reaffirm my second.
you already affirmed your second, very good. And so would you please call for the vote?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Ania?
Yes.
Councilmember Shalong?
Yes.
Councilmember Murray?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gastineau?
Yes.
And Mayor Holly?
Yes. Thank you. And thank you all for being here. And you may be here for some of the other items on our agenda, and you're welcome to stay. But it's going to be very interesting, I assure you.
Yeah.
Okay, we could do that. All right, so moving forward then. Under continuing business, we're going to consider and waive full reading and read by title only and adopt ordinance 782, an extension of interim urgency zoning ordinance number 780 of the city of Crescent City, placing a temporary prohibition on the establishment of tobacco retailers and off-site sale alcoholic beverage retailers. Take action as necessary and appropriate. Mr. Palazzo.
Yeah, Mr. Taylor will present this item.
Kind of recap. All right, I think that's better. So to kind of recap, on April 21st, 2014, this urgency ordinance 780 was passed by the City Council. Staff came back before the council on May 19th, 2014, in accordance with Government Code 65858.D. Prior to the 10 days prior to the expiration of the urgency ordinance, we presented a written report outlining the steps that will be taken to remedy the problem. Again, we presented a staff report that kind of gave the steps that we'll be taking forward to enact a new ordinance, and at that time we also presented kind of a timeline, how long it would actually takes to do the research, draft the ordinance, and then of course bring it back before the Planning Commission and the council and do the publication. So having said that, per Government Code 658.858, which allows a 10-month and 15-day extension for the urgency ordinance, staff is coming back before the council and requesting that you grant that extension of time to allow staff the amount of time to draft a new ordinance and have it enacted. Just a couple of things to point out. As with the original ordinance, number 780, this ordinance for the extension will require a 4/5 vote to pass. And the ordinance, the extension will take place immediately following the expiration of the original 45 days for ordinance 780.
Okay, thank you. Any technical questions?
Are there publishing requirements?
There is, I believe within 15 days after the extension, we're required to publish it, yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, is there any public comment on this matter? Public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring this back to the council.
Where are the children?
No, that was my favorite council meeting, I think, almost ever.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion if there's no discussion.
I'll make a motion to consider and waive full reading and read by title only and adopt ordinance number 782, an extension of the interim urgency zoning ordinance number 780 of the City Council of the City of Crescent City, placing a temporary prohibition on the establishment of tobacco retailers and off-site sale alcoholic beverage retailers. The end.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Second. Did you say 780 or 782?
The extension is 782, which is an extension of 780 is what it says.
Okay, all right.
Does that correct?
Correct. We're asking for extension of the original ordinance, which is 780.
I'll second that.
Okay.
It was already seconded.
Oh, okay, Mr. Ania seconded that
Oh,
motion?
I'm
So we
sorry.
have a
I'm
motion
sorry,
and a
Carrie.
second. Since it is an ordinance, would you please pull the vote?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Shalon?
Yes.
Councilmember Ania?
Yes.
Councilmember Murray?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gastineau?
Yes.
And Mayor Holly?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay.
Do I need to take a bow or?
Speech. Okay. Thank you, Eric. I do agree. You put some hard work in on this, and Mr. Black as well. So discussion and direction on city participation in member agency contribution pledge to the Border Coast Regional Airport Authority in support of runway safety area improvements. Take action as necessary and appropriate. Mr. Palazzo.
Yeah, Mayor, members of council, good evening. Gene Palazzo, City Manager. This item has been before the City Council a couple of times. Most recently, last week, we had a brief discussion on this in our budget meeting. To date, the Airport Authority is looking for funding to complete or to match the runway safety area project. When we last spoke, they were on their way to the County Board of Supervisors to see if they can get a line of credit for $1.8 million to cover this funding. That did go to the Board of Supervisors, and that did pass. It's $1.8 million of 5-year amortization over 20 years, 1% above LAIF, not to exceed 3% interest. They have requested that the member agencies contribute dollars to cover this. To date, the Del Norte County and the City of Brookings have contributed towards or have signed agreements for this pledge. They presented the pledge to the City of Crescent City. I had our special legal counsel, Harriet Steiner, take a look at the pledge agreement. As was outlined in the letter, the pledge contributes $20,000 by each agency for 5 years to the Border Coast Regional Airport Authority. There is an opt-out section of the pledge. Any member agency may opt out of the pledge for any particular year, by a majority vote of the legislative body. So every year we can come back to this, City Council, and we can decide to opt out or not, and not pay the $20,000. The intent of paragraphs 4 and 6.2 is to make clear that all parties and third parties that the member agencies assumes no liability whatsoever for this repayment. Ms. Steiner did add, some information in there about, basically sent me an email on her review, and I added that to the staff report for the City Council to take a look at. At this point, it's clearly a policy direction. I presented a budget to the council last week that included this pledge. So at this particular time, it's direction of whether to contribute the $20,000 this year towards this pledge or not, enter into this agreement or not. So looking for policy direction.
Thank you, Mr. Palazzo. Any questions of Gene? No? Okay, thank you.
Oh, wait, I do have one. I'm sorry. Are we to give it to them all at once? If we pledge the 20,000?
That's a good question.
Or will it be after they've secured the funding?
I think they need to secure the funding, and then
I think so too, because it would only make sense. If we're going to actually pay the debt, there would need to be debt secured before we pay it. Or we
and we can add that.
pledge. Okay.
We have Susan Dowdery here, if she can answer that a little more specifically, if you'd like.
Okay, thank you. Susan, thank you for coming tonight.
Oh, wouldn't have missed it. It was very interesting.
Yes, it is.
The loan, as Eugene had said, is now secured with the County of Del Norte. The loan is in place. I have met with the county auditor. We have a formal direction in place as to how those funds are accessed for BACRA. And BACRA intends to access those funds immediately with the environmental work that we've already had done. If you remember, it started in January for us to move forward. And so that is certainly something that is going to happen immediately. Another thing that's come up that's kind of been added on that we intend to do is to meet with the agency staff each year during the first quarter of the calendar year, so that it's well in advance of planning any budgeting for each entity, and let them know where we're at, how much we've drawn down, and just what the status is. The funds also, as we receive them in from each entity, we've added in a line for each entity for the money that's coming in so that we can add that to our budget. Those monies are obligated to debt service and can only be used for debt service.
Obligated to the debt service of the 1.8 million?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so that money then is due back to, the payment is due to County of Del Norte December 31st of each year, and is due in from BACRA's member entities December 15th of each year. And so that's the way that, that the loan and the repayment of the loan has been set up.
So you want it from us December 15th?
Correct.
Okay.
Actually, the agreement says December 1st.
I'm sorry?
Our agreement says December
Okay,
1st.
I stand corrected.
Take it 2 weeks early.
December 1st, that's exactly what I meant to say.
And Susan, can you just remind me that this is, are these match funds?
It's a combination of match funds and also the $800,000 in environmental fees that had to be spent prior to any grant funding. There is a good potential that out of that $800,000, we should get anywhere from 60 to maybe the full 95% of that back once the grant is funded. But we did not know for sure, and so we went ahead and asked for the entire thing so that it would be covered. The other remaining million is matching funds for what will be a $20 million project. We do know that we've moved along with the help of the City of Brookings with the Connect Oregon 5 grant. Our project is rated highly. There's one more meeting to go before the projects are determined that receive the Connect Oregon 5 monies. And that was put in for $400,000. And I know that in our region, which includes in Oregon, Josephine County and Curry County, maybe one other, our project was number 2 in the ratings out of all the projects, and it's gone very well.
Great.
So,
thanks.
And the project itself, I know you're on a tight timeline with this.
well, it was the runway safety area, that project itself, as far as the improvement of the runway safety areas, was mandated by Congress in 2006 to be accomplished by the end of 2015. And so we're at the point now we are still working on environmental issues, and we are working daily on those issues with Army Corps of Engineer and with California Coastal, as well as the EPA meets with us and Regional Water Quality Board.
Do you think it's going to happen?
I do. I do think it's going to happen. I can't tell you the time frame it's going to happen in, but I do think that we get closer all the time. I would say that we will know quite a bit more within 60 days.
So what happens if the entities pledge this money and you spend down part of your pledged loan and the agencies never concur and we do not get to move forward?
I'm sorry, would you say that again for me?
If we don't have a project.
If we don't have a project? Oh, if we don't have a project, then I don't really have an answer for you. I mean, I would think that our entire community has a real issue as far as being able to have an operating airport if this project doesn't move forward. I know that the Federal Aviation Administration is fully and completely behind us to the extent of meeting with Army Corps of Engineers. We had a gentleman fly back from Washington, D.C., and go along with our local, not local, but San Francisco, our region's district office personnel to meet with Lieutenant Colonel Baker of Army Corps of Engineer just last week in order to assure them that they had the 95% funding and fully intended to use that on this project. It's already programmed into their books for this project so that we could eliminate a requirement that was for us to provide financial insurances through performance bonds, thus adding. So
Right. I think I'm more concerned that with federal funding taking away the EAS funding, and I mean, there was just a couple airports that were just shut down recently.
There were. As far as those airports that were shut down, they were in a situation as well where they were much closer to a middle hub or a large hub, which
Right.
you know is one of the qualifications. They would have to, boy, I really believe they would almost have to do away with the EAS program entirely to eliminate Crescent City because we fit so neatly
Right.
into those requirements. No one can say that that would never happen. I know that that has not been the intent thus far, and that the agreement has been, from everything that we understand from Washington, that it simply cuts it down to the truly needed areas, and Crescent City is one of those.
Okay, thank you.
And Colonel Baker is it?
Lieutenant Colonel Baker.
Yeah, he was real key to the funding, so that's really encouraging that someone from Washington DC, was it him that flew out from Washington?
No, actually, the gentleman from FAA, Lieutenant Colonel Baker, is with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Oh, yeah.
So he is kind of new to being involved in this, but is certainly key into getting Army Corps of Engineer on page to get this permit issued sooner.
He was real key in getting the funding for us he was real key in making.
I'm sorry, excuse me, he's with Army Corps of Engineer.
So we wrote him a letter telling him that we had the funding, so, but he was real integral in that connection, telling him that we had the funding for it.
In convincing staff, which was his staff, that this was adequate funding.
Yeah,
And yes, he
so-
did respond to our
so
letters.
For us to convince him, so
Yes.
that's really.
It was a big step,
Very
major.
encouraging.
Right.
So that now he knows that we do have the funding for it. So that's it. I got it backwards. Okay.
Anything else?
Okay, thank you. I don't think so. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So, did I already ask for public comment on this? I don't think I have. Public comment on this? Okay, we'll bring that back then to the city council.
I'll make a motion that we enter into a member agency contribution pledge to the Border Coast Regional Airport Authority in support of runway safety, area improvements, and authorize the mayor to sign an agreement and contribute funding for fiscal year 2014, 2015. To be paid by December 1st.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Any further discussion? No. Would you please poll the vote?
Yes, sir.
Thank
Councilmember Murray?
Yes.
Councilmember Ania?
Yes.
Councilmember Shalom?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gastineau?
Yes.
And Mayor Hawley?
Yes.
And we're very excited about this, so I hope that you'll come and report back as it moves forward. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for all your hard work on this, Susan.
Okay, very good. Okay, next on our agenda, and it's new business. We're going to consider and approve the Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority annual budget for fiscal year 2014-15 and take action as necessary and appropriate. And I see we have Mr. Ward, our interim director.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Hawley and members of the City Council. This is the first time I've appeared before you as the director to review the annual budget for the authority for fiscal year 14-15. This has already been presented to the Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority Board in draft form, and the process is that it is presented separately to the City Council and the Board of Supervisors. After review, if you have any specific written comments, then I would be happy to forward those to the authority board for consideration before they adopt the final budget. And I'd be happy to review the highlights of this budget if you would like, or I can be quiet and you can just move along. Up to you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Both, as you all know, both Mr. Gastineau and I sit on the Solid Waste Management Authority, and we had a separate meeting in which we discussed the budget, and some changes were made, and it came back again to the Solid Waste Management Authority, and now it's in its final form, and it's being sent here for us to our consideration. Yes.
I had one question. So recently we were discussing doing away with all of their ordinances, ordinances?
Yes.
And I'm wondering what the status of that is, and if you're not bound by any ordinances, if there's associated costs for operating within your ordinances that have been removed from your budget.
That's a somewhat complicated question, in that ordinances somewhat like this budget also need to be reviewed separately by the City Council and the Board of Supervisors. And so the ordinance that was adopted to repeal the ordinances, as far as I know, has not been adopted by both the city and the county, and so those ordinances that the authority has remain in place. The cost of enforcing these ordinances on the surface of them in terms of enforcing illegal dumping is quite minimal. We work through the city and the county code enforcement officers, and there's relatively few complaints that we don't route through them. There are other aspects of the ordinances that are fairly important, such as enforcement of the collections franchise. Part of what we have as a collections agreement with Recology Del Norte, who provides a fine service, is that they get to have a monopoly on the collection business, which means that we have to add an ordinance in place to enforce that monopoly. There's a number of reasons why that's in place, but that's what we've developed. And so all of these things are wrapped into the ordinance. And so my understanding of where that discussion is the city and the county code enforcement officers were to look over the authority ordinances and to identify those elements that they wanted to continue, and then those were to be presented to the city and the county. I have not been involved in those discussions.
Mr. Palazzo, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I can add to that. The staff
Thank
is
you.
working with our city attorney in reviewing those, differences in the ordinances, and we'll be bringing that back to the council probably within the next month.
Thank you. That was my understanding. I'd like to say, too, when it comes to this budget, as he says, as Ted says in this one line, most operating expenses for next year will remain the same as this year. Some people may be thinking that the R3 consulting report had elements within it that would cause changes to our budget, but we haven't really taken any action based upon that report as of yet. So this is basically status quo budget.
Do you plan to take action?
It's going to take some time. We're going to have at least one or more special meetings to try and get some strategic planning done. That was recommended by R3, that we sit down and really define who we are and where we're going, which will help then define which of their options we wanted to adopt, if any.
So the budget goes on in the meantime?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So any public comment on this? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council.
This is just for an accept and receipt, right?
Yes.
Yes, it says, I know that the agenda item says consider and approve, but I think under the circumstances it would be accept and receive. Since we just do an advisory questions to the...
I believe if you acknowledged that you had reviewed the budget and that you didn't have any written comments to submit for the consideration of the authority board, that would be an adequate action.
Thank you. So is everybody okay with that? Acknowledged?
Acknowledged.
Thank you. I appreciate you staying so long for the acknowledgement.
And just one more comment I have.
One
Yes,
more
sir.
extra meeting.
Well, thank you all for your public service. It's very much
I
impressive.
just wanted to thank you for doing this budget. I know it was difficult because you haven't done this before, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very good.
Good night, Ted.
You're welcome to stay until the end of the meeting, Betty. Okay. So next on our agenda is to consider and adopt Resolution 2014-20, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Crescent City calling election on appointive city clerk. Take action as necessary and appropriate. Mr. Palazzo.
Yeah, City Clerk Robin Patch will present this item.
Okay, very good. Ms. Patch?
Sorry, being distracted.
Yeah.
So,
Do we have to separate you two?
it would probably be appropriate. You know, in working this job for the last 5 years, I've given a lot of consideration to the fact that we're a small municipality and what resources we have within the whole community, and it would be nice to be able to extend that offer out to county employment instead of city residents, hence the reason why it would be an appointed position. Basically, you get to have an employee that's a city clerk and have an outline of duties. Just seems to make sense, at least to me. A lot of California cities are already going to the appointed city clerk position and not an elected. So I thought that would be a good direction for our city.
You know, I didn't realize that 73%
Yeah.
are appointed.
I'm surprised at that, too.
Well, and it's
So-
important to go through a vetting process
Yes.
too, and I think that that's what meant a lot to me,
Mhm.
is the fact that, you know, we do have exceptionally talented people within the city, and of course, they could go on the ballot and be an incredible city clerk, but then you could also have someone that can go through a full vetting process, have the CMC designation, or be able to have that within a couple of years. It's important.
I completely agree with you. And it'll save money in the election process as
Yes.
well.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, any other comments about this? Yes.
Well, when Diane retired, we debated about requiring qualifications, and my thought was, you know, it's an elected position, you really shouldn't put that on there, but you really do need to have certain parameters, and you did a really good report, so thank you for that, Robin. You know, it makes a lot of sense to go with having an employee that's appointed.
Thank you.
As opposed to an elected.
Agreed.
So it's a really thorough report. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any public comments on this matter? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council.
I'll move to adopt Resolution 2014-20, resolution of the City Council of the City of Crescent City calling election on appointive city clerk.
Okay, very good.
Calling election?
Second.
What does that mean?
Calling for.
Huh? Oh, calling an election to appoint a city clerk. Okay.
Second.
Are there any other questions about this?
It should not be to appoint a city clerk. It is calling an election on appointed city.
Okay, would
Okay.
you want to say that again?
Calling election on appointive city clerk.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to do so. Resolution number 2014-20. Any other questions or discussion? Oh, very good. Then would you please poll the vote?
Gladly. Councilmember Murray?
Yes.
Councilmember Shalong?
Yes.
Councilmember Ania?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gastineau?
Yes.
And Mayor Holly.
Yes.
I had a quick question. I assume this is going to be on the November ballot? Yes. Okay, and so we'll see what the actual wording for the ballot will be before that? Or is it what's going to be in the
Actually,
resolution?
The wording that's in the resolution is identical to the statutory prescribed wording. That's the way it has to read. Shall the office of city clerk be appointive? That's the language that will be on the ballot.
Is that going to be clear to voters?
Well, whether it is or not, that's what the government code says it has to be. Those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 words or 8 words that are required.
And there'll be, of course, like anything else, there'll be an evaluation of it by...
There will be a city attorney, there will be a city attorney summary, ballot
Summary,
title and summary, and there will be the potential for pro and con arguments, yes and no arguments.
Okay.
If I could add, I'm also very willing to go pound pavement and tell people about it and promote it.
Oh, yes, you will.
Kiss babies, not
Be a great summer workout program.
I need it.
Okay, so I think we've answered this question. We've gone ahead and voted, so we'll move on. Legislative matters. Any legislative matters to come before us? Catherine?
Well, I would just like to suggest that we all research what Mr. Phillips mentioned, the AB 1871, the Farmers Market Bill.
I agree.
That's a good idea. Thank you. Any other legislative matters to come before us? Okay, city manager report, city council directives. Anything there for us to consider? Very good. So going on to reports by the city council. Let's start with Mr. Ania, council member Ania. Can you tell
We
us?
had a special transportation committee meeting last week. It was in closed session, so there really is nothing to report out of there yet. Of course, we went to the budget workshop last week, and it was very well presented, and thank the city staff again. We had a special tri-agency meeting, which was in closed session also, so I don't have anything to report out of there. I have a feeling I'm forgetting some things. Went to the firefighters' annual dinner with my fellow council members on Saturday night, and I wanted to let the council know that tomorrow at Joe Hamilton School at 1:30, Officer Gill and Officer Vatruba and myself will be, the kids will be graduating, the third grade classes will be graduating from the GREAT program, which we taught this year. The chief will be there to present, and Mr. Wilsfeld, who's left now, will be there also. He's part of our program. So we're looking forward to that tomorrow afternoon. We didn't have time this year to do the sixth grade class at Crescent Elk, but we hope to do that for sure for next year.
Thank you. Ms. Shalom?
So I attended the reception to cut the ribbon for the map of the movies for the Film Commission last week, which was pretty cool. And Mr. Sullivan and I did an interview afterwards for the chamber to promote it. And
I've seen it.
Oh, you have?
It's on Facebook.
Oh,
Put on by
I haven't
the
even seen it.
I don't know what site it was on Facebook, but I've seen it.
Okay. Let's see. I had quite a few communications with the Food Council regarding the farmers market vendor fee for the last couple weeks that I directed them to meet with Mr. Palazzo, so thank you for that. And I attended the firefighters dinner, which was always a fun event. It's always nice to see those guys get recognized for all the hard work they do, and girls. And Catherine and I attended the healthcare district 2x2 with the county. And I don't know if there's really much to report, but they are interested in forming a JPA to exercise their powers, which could lead to eminent domain of the hospital and or some other avenues, but we have encouraged them and they have agreed to actually sit down at the same table with Sutter Health. So that's going to happen this Thursday. And thanks to Mr. Hemmingson, who made that phone call. And Catherine and I consulted with our attorneys this morning to get some advice, and we'll participate in that meeting on Thursday. And so we hope that that's the first step in kind of building a relationship, and that maybe we'll see what happens after that. So, good stuff.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Mr. Gastineau?
Oh, well, it's pretty busy. I was looking at that. I didn't think I did anything this last couple of weeks, but we actually were doing a lot. Mayor Hawley and myself and Mr. Palazzo and some other shareholders toured Last Chance Grade Alternative with Green Diamond last Tuesday, actually 2 weeks ago Tuesday, and it was very interesting on what they are looking at and what other people are looking at, but definitely there are alternatives that we need to look at and get that going forward. It was very eye-opening. We also had the Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority meeting on the 21st, and then that evening I met again with the Mural Society to talk more about the wave that we're trying to put on the side of the cultural center, and it's sort of morphed, but it's getting better. It's going through the process, and it's going to be something pretty spectacular. Instead of just a wave on the side of the building, now it's going to be a full-fledged mural with possibly with the lighthouse and a sunset behind the wave and stuff like that. So on the side, on the east side of the where the temporary wave was there. We went with another design, and we'll be bringing that back to the Planning Commission. The Mural Society is excited about working on it. They're getting a maquette together. We're getting all the engineering details together with Eric Weir. Thank you. And it's going to be pretty spectacular, and we're hoping to get that going. And as the tsunami kiosk going, we're shooting now for the end of summer. We're going to get them in before the next anniversary, that's for sure. But it's just, a slow process, and that's the way it works sometimes. Yeah, the way the wave works. Let's see, me and Mayor Hawley met with Martha McClure and Supervisor Sullivan for a 2x2, where we found out that the Coastal Conservancy wants to throw money our way. And basically what they're trying to do is say that improve our coastal accesses from all the way through the county, through the city, down through Klamath. And so we're going to be looking at those, and we're going to try to do a joint application with the county. We're right in the start of it, but it could be very good for the city for us to improve a lot of our accessibility and all the great spots that we have. And we're a very unique community where we can go anywhere and basically stop and get down on the beach without a problem. But sometimes you have to climb over some stuff, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So we're going to work on those. Let's see. Then with Mayor Hawley, I think you were at the flight SBDC. Were you there? No. Rich was. Oh, sorry. Rich, and Rick were there, and they graduated 3 flights. They only had five people there to tell about their business, but they could have had 20 for the 3 flights that they were. One was niche tourism. Then there was daycare. And what was the third one?
Sugar-free
food. It was
treats and...
Sugar-free
Yeah, what is it?
Food flight. Food flight.
Food fight?
Food flight. We always like the food flights because we get to taste all the stuff. And I learned about a new business that's down in the harbor, and it's a seafood and deli that's down there. They have some really good food. And then on the 29th, we had our special, we did the movies. The movies on the coast, and
we also were all at our budget meeting.
I
too.
was just going to mention that we had our special budget meeting, so and that was quite impressive, and kudos to the staff again for putting that all together and explaining it to us people that just sit there and go, wow, that's a lot of work, that's a lot of stuff. And
You should never admit that, Mr. Gastineau.
it's a lot of work, and it's wow. I mean, this fee schedule's what, 10 pages? Man, budget's incredible. So they do a lot of good work there.
You're awesome.
So that's it. It was pretty busy 10 weeks. I thought it was like I didn't do anything. So I was like, oh, and I participated, and I think I said this last council meeting, I participated in the Clean Up Crescent City, and I made a pile of brush that was as big as my house, and the city crews did an excellent job of cleaning it up, and it was like it was never there, so kudos to them too.
So your house disappeared when they...
My house
came?
disappeared
Okay.
for at least a couple days, and then they came by and it was all great. Thank
Okay.
you.
Very good. Okay. I will just be very brief because a lot of this is repetitive. Catherine has something?
Catherine, I have one more thing.
Oh, no, I haven't said anything.
Oh, I've been waiting for you to say something.
Would you like to go before me?
Please, Catherine, I'm sorry, I did something different
But
tonight.
actually, I attended everything that everyone else did except for the airport meeting. And the budget workshop was really, really good this time. It went very smoothly. You guys are amazing, our staff, I mean, by you guys, I mean the staff. And just special thank you to our volunteer fire department for the dinner that Chief Wakefield and his wife Deborah did for them, and we had a wonderful dinner, and just very much appreciation to the volunteers that save our city in so many ways. All of us up here really appreciate them. And one more thing, remember to vote tomorrow if you haven't voted already in absentee, and now the mayor can talk.
Thank you. Did you have anything?
I just wanted to remind everybody that June 7th, because we won't have another council meeting, is the Run for the Pool, runner walk for the pool. So if you can all, support that, that would be great. And also, 4th of July, if you're going to be in the parade, if you could fill out your form and get it in. And also the barbecue wars, if anybody is interested in participating in the barbecue wars, that is now online as well at delnort.org.
Oh, yeah, and the first art walk is this coming June 6th, and the first farmer's market I guess the first Wednesday farmer's market is this Wednesday, and the first summer farmer's market at the fairgrounds is Saturday.
Okay. I'm a little afraid to jump in.
I think we're done now.
Okay, I'll just be very quick. As Mr. Gastineau had mentioned, I was at the 2x2 meeting with the county and the very exciting possibilities of increasing our coastal access. The Last Chance Grade tour was interesting, both from a last chance grade perspective, but also at the same time we got a little bit of education on current logging practices. And it's changed since the last time I had such a tour, so it was really very interesting. No, I never went logging. I also went to the once-a-year Indian Gaming Benefit Commission meeting, and I'm sorry I don't know the exact amount, but I think it was like $15,000 that was awarded to the Sheriff's Department for the activities they do that are related to the casinos themselves. The idea is this money has to be used in mitigating negative issues that might come out of gaming. And so we had the one application, but the one application is good. It helps defray some of their costs of dispatch and a number of other things. So that was good to go through. Solid Waste Management Authority meeting, we went to that. SBDC flight graduation, that was good. And I think the highlight for everyone wasn't their diploma, it was probably the city pin we gave them. Yeah. No, it wasn't. Okay, good. Okay. The Transportation Commission meeting, that was brief and interesting and in closed session, so I can't say much beyond that. The ribbon cutting ceremony and then the chamber reception following that was nice. And the budget workshop, always an eye-opener, and the firefighter awards dinner. So it was a busy couple of weeks, I think, for all of us. So again, we'll see you at the polls, and this meeting's adjourned.